All right, we're at lesson 1, day 2. So now we're taking a look at the warm-up. We're being asked to write a functional statement. And a functional statement, it just means it's a way of writing how one variable relates to the other. And in this case, we always use the dependent is a function of the independent, because the dependent is dependent upon the independent variable. So the two variables in this case are the number of swimsuits bought and the revenue. So which one can I change? I can change how many swimsuits I bought. So that's the independent. So the revenue I make is a function of the number of swimsuits that were bought. What is the independent variable? That would be the, I just said that. That was the number of swimsuits that people bought. And the dependent variable is the amount of revenue I make. So the more swimsuits I sell, or the more swimsuits that get bought, the more revenue I'm going to make. All right, so we're going to continue talking about functional statements and function notation. So this video is a little bit more about function notation. This is the second side of the first lesson. So same thing as we had just done before. So the total cost is a function of how many shirts you buy. Total costs and shirts you buy are the two. Nope, that's the last video. I'm sorry. There we go. So this is, you write a statement using a function of, using the variable number of swimsuits and total cost. Just did that for the warm-up. All right, so then this is the table. It looks a lot like the homework that you had already seen. So if one swimsuit costs $40 and two swimsuits cost $80 and three swimsuits cost $120, and then you're going to continue that pattern in a linear fashion, meaning in a straight line. You're not going to connect the dots. Why, might you be asking? Why wouldn't I connect the dots? Because this is a discrete question. You cannot buy half a swimsuit. That makes absolutely no sense in the context of this question. Look at the graph of the points you plotted, and what is the meaning of plot 6, 150? That would be 6 swimsuits cost $150. That's a coordinate. Circle the part of the table in the graph that represents the total cost. A total ordering of 4 swimsuits is 110. Okay, so I go to my graph and I circle it. Should the points in the graph be connected? No, I just explained that. For the points of the coordinate 6, 150, which number represents the value of the independent variable and which one represents the dependent variable? Well, the independent variable is always listed first. Independent, dependent. 6 is what I can change. I can change the amount of swimsuits, and $150 is how much it's going to end up costing if I buy that amount. Can there be 7 half swimsuits ordered? No, I think I've covered that pretty clearly. You cannot buy half a swimsuit. You cannot go to a store, cut the swimsuit in half, and say, hey, I'd like to buy this half a swimsuit. Can you order 12 swimsuits? Well, according to I believe the directions said you can only order a maximum of 8 swimsuits at this price. So, no. The answer is no. You cannot order 12 swimsuits. Can you plot the point 11, 250? What about the problem does not allow you to do this? Well, you can't buy more than 8 swimsuits, so that would not make sense. It's 11 swimsuits. Let's say that you wish to have several similar statements like these. Okay, so we use special mathematics shorthand known as function notation. This is function notation. And what this is basically saying is if you buy 2 swimsuits, it'll cost $70. T of 2 equals 70. T is the variable that we were given. 2 is the independent, and 70 is the dependent. It's always going to be independent in the parentheses, dependent on the outside of the parentheses. Total cost of buying 5 swimsuits is $130. All right, so now we've cleared that up. What the parentheses and the function notation represent, it's I think I just said that. That's the independent variable. What is the relationship between the independent and dependent variables and the function notation? Well, it's basically what it is. It's telling you how the independent and the dependents are related to each other. That's what a function is. A function is a relation between two things. It's literally the definition of a function. All right, of a relation, that is. Well, not all relations are functions. We'll get to that later on because no domain can have more than one range. We'll talk about that later on. All right, so the homework, number of swimsuits bought. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 costs $40, 2 costs $80, 3 costs $120. If you watched the last video, I basically have already gone through all these questions. You're not going to connect the dots. Look at the graph. What does 5, 200 mean? That means 5 swimsuits cost $200. Just look at the last video if you want to see how I did this homework. Pretty easy. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.